So what is it like if the root isn't awakened? If the root isn't embodied? Meaning, what is it like if truth hasn't descended into the body, deep within the root? Well, one remains scattered, drifting through life, floating through life, disembodied, disconnected. Often the body is denied, excluded, avoided. There's still this split where one becomes identified with the higher spiritual concepts and then denies the everyday life. There's a lack of stability, a lack of security, a lack of sovereignty when the truth hasn't descended. Meaning when you haven't gone beyond realization. When the truth hasn't been integrated, it hasn't been embodied and expressed, then one remains in this conceptual phase, clinging to concepts. One creates a new identity, a spiritual identity for themselves. And it's often based off of the contrast of what's not spiritual and what is spiritual. So the everyday life, having a job or a career, paying bills, changing diapers, doing dishes, family gatherings, gardening. These everyday experiences are often looked down on. One's floating above these everyday experiences. There's a sort of superiority, a sort of I'm higher than that. And you see how one is floating. I use that word floating. One alienates themselves. Their own humanity is denied, suppressed, excluded, avoided, because they've escaped to try and understand these abstract ideas. And they live in this realm of airy ideas instead of walking in truth. They are talking about truth. They hang out in these spiritual circles to talk about truth, to just have a better understanding of truth, to contemplate truth, while they avoid living truth. So they literally have alienated themselves from their humanity, when they deny it, when they suppress, when they escape their humanity, it's like they've become an alien. One often speaks weirdly, like in third person, referring to themselves as the speaker or this body or this one. Because they've dissociated. A lot of non-duality that you see on the internet is really dissociation in disguise. It's not a spirituality that's embodied. It's not practical. Many use these non-dual circles as a place to avoid their life, as a hideout, as a way to escape. And that will prevent one from going deeper, allowing the truth to descend into your root so that you can walk the terrain of truth, where it's no longer conceptual, but now experiential. Where the body becomes a symbol of truth, is the manifestation of the truth you've realized. It starts transforming, your relationships start transforming, your entire life transforms when truth descends. So you aren't going deeper by hanging out in and as the absolute. When you cling to that, when you identify with that, you prevent truth from deepening. It actually deepens by going back into the relative. It's not a regression. You're actually experiencing the completion of it, the wholeness of it in your return to the relative world, where responsibilities are not avoided, they're not escaped, they're embraced. And you see that realization becomes actualized in this form, as this form. Start experiencing some of what I mentioned in a previous video about the root awakening, integrating and embodied the stability, the foundation, the base of support, the structure. You start actually experiencing that in your everyday life. Something primal, something ancient is embodied and expressed. So it's very different, it's radically different to go from what most people experience as floating. They live from the neck up, to then being rooted. They're getting swept off their feet with every little storm in life. But when you're rooted, you're immovable. You're unshakable. You can weather the storms. And it's through weathering the storms that you develop even greater resilience. You root even deeper. You feel the strength of being rooted. Physically, you actually experience this. Your glutes, strongest muscles in your body, are activated. You're initiating your movement from the root. And you can feel the difference in the mechanical efficiency of the body when those glutes are asleep, when they're inactive. The strongest muscles in your body aren't doing their job. They're sleeping on the job. There's a lot of overcompensation that has to happen in order to hold your body upright. A lot of these muscles have to work much harder than they have to try and realign everything above the foundation. Instead of having that alignment at the foundation, the balance at the foundation in the pelvis, at the base, it uses a lot of energy to try and correct that misalignment. And just like any structure, every little millimeter that is misaligned at the foundation increases tenfold the more you go up. Without being rooted, it's like you're walking through life and you can't really feel the ground under your feet. You can't feel the support of the earth under your feet. Without having the glutes active, you can't truly extend your hips fully to experience full hip extension, that propulsion, that drive. One lacks when they aren't rooted. That power of being rooted in truth is manifested in the body as having that power that comes from the strongest muscles in your body being active, initiating the movement from your core. So one's overthinking, scattered. They may start projects, but they never finish them. It's like they're juggling things, too many things on their plate, running in circles. They're circling the truth. They're circling themselves, sort of say. They may think that they're free because of everything that they're doing, but all the doing is an overcompensation for not being rooted in yourself. Deepening into your being. And integrating it so there's no separation between doing and being. One will not be able to set boundaries, hold boundaries. They won't be able to stand up for themselves. They will be lacking a spine. They'll collapse under pressure. They'll fold in tough times. They won't have that capacity to go through life's challenges gracefully. They'll be emotionally volatile. Chaotic. Like a storm that draws everybody else into it. We sometimes call these people drama queens. One who's rooted in the truth. Has no concern for those games, the drama. There's just the unshakable presence. That is deeply felt. When others are disembodied, avoiding the human experience, the one who's rooted in truth has embraced the full human experience in its totality. They have nothing to hide and nothing to prove. They're simply the truth in form. living life fully. And in doing so and in being so, they become an invitation. So on that note, I invite you to join me in living truth.